The house was too quiet. That was the first thing I noticed when I walked in that evening, my arms full of grocery bags. Normally, my 5-year-old twins, Ethan and Emma, would be running around, laughing, arguing over toys. But tonight, there was nothing, just silence. Melissa, my sister-in-law, was supposed to be babysitting. She had been our go-to for months, always eager to help. Too eager, I would later realize. "Melissa?" I called out, setting the bags on the counter. No answer. I walked through the living room, my heart starting to race. The toys were neatly arranged, too neat. Something felt wrong. The hallway to the kids' room felt longer than usual. With each step, my stomach twisted tighter. Their bedroom door was shut all the way. Melissa never did that. She always left it slightly open because they were afraid of the dark. I pushed it open. Empty. The beds were perfectly made, every toy in its place. No signs of my children. Ethan. Emma. My voice trembled. I checked the bathroom, the closet, the guest room. Nothing. No kids, no Melissa. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Melissa. "We needed some air. Be back soon." The message was 3 hours old. I called my husband Mark, who was away on business. No answer. My panic turned into something worse, a suffocating fear. I called everyone I could think of, neighbors, police, friends. 2 hours and 17 frantic calls later, another text came. "They're fine. Don't overreact." Fine. The most dangerous word I had ever read. The police said they couldn't do much. She's family, they told me. These things can be complicated. Complicated. Another meaningless word when your children are missing. Mark caught the first flight home. His mother arrived soon after, her face tight with worry, and something else I couldn't quite place. Melissa wouldn't do anything bad, she kept saying. She loves them. Love. A word that was starting to lose all meaning. 3 days passed. No real leads. Just Melissa's vague messages insisting the kids were safe. Then, a call. Emma's best friend's mother. "My daughter said something strange," she told me. A conversation overheard. A child's innocent words. "Aunt Melissa said we're going on a special adventure that Mommy and Daddy wouldn't understand." Adventure. A word that now filled me with dread. The police started digging. Credit card records, phone calls, social media. A picture began to form. Melissa hadn't just taken them on impulse. This was planned. Not for days, not for weeks. For months. What I didn't know then, what I was about to learn, was that this wasn't just a kidnapping. It was part of something much bigger. A secret I never could have imagined. And Melissa was just getting started. The investigation moved like a slow-burning fire, revealing embers of truth that threatened to consume everything. Detective Sarah Morgan sat across from me in our living room, her notepad open, eyes sharp with a mixture of professional detachment and genuine concern. "Tell me about Melissa," she said, "from the beginning." I took a deep breath. Melissa wasn't just my sister-in-law. She was Mark's younger sister, 10 years his junior, always desperate to prove herself. A woman who had never quite found her place in the world. She moved back to town 2 years ago, I began. Jobless, recently divorced. My husband felt obligated to help her. She practically begged to babysit the twins. At first, Melissa seemed perfect. Always available, never complained. Brought homemade cookies, sent cute photos of the kids during her babysitting shifts. How often did she babysit? Detective Morgan asked. At least twice a week, sometimes more. Mark thought it was helping her feel useful. The detective's pen moved silently across the page. Mark's mother called again. Her voice trembled. "She's always been different," she said cryptically. "Even as a child. Different." Another loaded word. A breakthrough came unexpectedly. Emma's school friend's mother had overheard something. A casual conversation between children revealed a crucial detail. "Aunt Melissa said we're going somewhere special. That Mommy and Daddy won't understand." The police traced Melissa's recent purchases. A used SUV, camping gear, multiple prepaid cell phones, cash withdrawals. This wasn't a spontaneous act. This was meticulously planned. Credit card records showed something else. Multiple visits to child psychology websites, forums about custody, discussion boards for people feeling misunderstood by family systems. "She's been planning this," Detective Morgan said, spreading documents across our coffee table. "For months, possibly years. Mark sat silently, his face a mask of controlled rage and profound hurt. His sister, his own blood. Another call came from a campground owner in a remote mountain region. A woman with 2 children checked in last week, he said. Paid cash, used a fake name. The description matched Melissa perfectly. But why? What could possibly motivate a sister to take her own niece and nephew? As night fell, the house felt like a tomb. Silent. Waiting. Mark's mother arrived, her usual composure shattered. There's something you need to know, she said, her voice barely a whisper. She revealed a family secret buried for decades, a story of childhood trauma, of a sister who was always different. Melissa had been diagnosed with a complex psychological condition as a teenager, attachment disorder, a profound inability to understand normal family dynamics. She always wanted children, Mark's mother said, but could never have her own. The pieces started forming a terrifying picture. Melissa didn't just take the children. In her mind, she believed she was saving them, rescuing them from a life she deemed inadequate. A psychological evaluation from her past surfaced. Recommendations for long-term therapy, warnings about her potential behavior, warnings everyone had ignored. Detective Morgan outlined the next steps, a multi-state search, national alerts, every resource mobilized. We'll find them, she promised. But her eyes told a different story. The uncertainty, the fear. As midnight approached, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. They're safe. Better than ever. You'll understand soon. The game was about to change, and nothing would ever be the same. The mountain cabin stood isolated, surrounded by dense pine forests that seemed to swallow sound itself. Local authorities had tracked the location, but something felt off from the moment they approached. Detective Morgan briefed us before the planned operation. We need to be careful, she warned. Melissa's psychological profile suggests she might become volatile if cornered. Mark gripped my hand so tightly I could feel his pulse racing. 2 weeks had passed since Ethan and Emma disappeared. 2 weeks of hell, of uncertainty, of every parent's worst nightmare. The plan was precise. Local law enforcement would approach from multiple directions. A tactical team stood ready. The goal: rescue the children safely. As dawn broke, the operation began. Aerial surveillance showed movement inside the cabin, 2 small figures, an adult. The thermal imaging was clear enough to confirm the children were alive. We're going in, the lead officer radioed. What happened next would become a story whispered in local law enforcement circles for years to come. The cabin wasn't just a hiding place. It was a carefully constructed world. When they breached the door, they found something unexpected. The children were not just safe, they were thriving. Melissa had created an elaborate homeschooling environment. Educational materials lined the walls. The twins' beds were meticulously made, nutritious meals prepared, their clothing clean and organized. But it was their reaction that shocked everyone. Ethan and Emma didn't cry, didn't show fear. Instead, they looked confused by the commotion. Are we going home? Emma asked, her voice calm, too calm. Psychological evaluations would later reveal the depth of Melissa's manipulation. She hadn't just taken the children. She'd systematically worked to make them believe their parents didn't want them. Hours of interrogation followed. Melissa remained eerily composed. I was protecting them, she repeated, from a life of mediocrity, from parents who didn't understand their potential. The legal process was complex. Psychological evaluations, family court hearings, each layer revealed more about Melissa's intricate plan. She had documentation, fabricated evidence suggesting we were unfit parents, carefully crafted narratives designed to justify her actions. Mark's mother broke down during her testimony. She was always different, she repeated, always trying to prove something. The children underwent extensive psychological evaluations. Counselors worked carefully to understand the trauma, to help them process their experience. Slowly, carefully, Ethan and Emma began to reconnect, to understand. The first night home was surreal. They were physically present, but emotionally distant. Years of careful manipulation couldn't be undone overnight. We're going to get through this, Mark whispered to me, holding me as I cried. Months of therapy followed. Family counseling, individual sessions, a delicate process of rebuilding trust. Melissa was charged with kidnapping, but the legal system recognized the complexity of her psychological condition. She would receive treatment, not just punishment. A year later, things began to stabilize. Ethan started Little League. Emma joined a dance class. Small victories that felt like miracles. The day of Melissa's sentencing arrived. Mark chose to speak. "She's my sister," he said, his voice breaking. But what she did was unforgivable. The judge sentenced her to a specialized psychiatric facility. Treatment, rehabilitation, a chance to understand the depth of her actions. As we left the courthouse, Emma tugged at my hand. "Can we get ice cream?" she asked. Such a simple question, such a normal moment. And in that moment, I realized we had survived. Not just survived, we had won. The nightmare was over. But the healing was just beginning. The moral of the story is that love, even when well-intended, can be dangerous when twisted by delusion and unresolved trauma. It highlights the importance of recognizing mental health struggles, addressing them before they escalate, and understanding that even family members can cause harm when their actions stem from a distorted sense of righteousness. It also speaks to the resilience of family, the power of truth, and the long but possible journey of healing. While the scars of manipulation and loss don't fade overnight, love, patience, and support can rebuild what was broken.